The scientist is motivated primarily by curiosity and a desire for truth. I am Ayush Garg, the author of Pygate Papers, an open source tool supporting automated retrieval of scientific literature. And today, I'm going to talk about open source for open science and my journey into becoming an open source developer. So, let's start from the beginning. What motivated me to contribute to open source in the first place? Well, my story of open source starts with the drive to help progress science and a passion for having an impact on the scientific world, even if it's little. For me, science is the medium behind human progress. Every question that we start to solve leads to the creation of 10 more, and this whole move towards questions that we collectively come together and solve leads us to reach new heights of innovation. To this end, the very fundamentals of science call it to be open and inclusive. Now, one of the crucial ways to make science open and inclusive is through promotion of open access literature. And to promote practices of open access, I started developing Pygate papers, which makes getting bulk open access not only easy but also uniform across all the different repositories and data formats. Now, a question that generally arises is, who can do science and contribute to open source? Is it people wearing coats in labs? Is it scientists working in big laboratories or firms? Or can it also be 16-year-olds like me? The answer is very similar to the answer to the question, who can sing? Basically, anyone with enough motivation. There is no wrong time to start contributing. You're never too old or too young. It's all about catching that motivation and inspiration, and the rest becomes history. In this day and age, the greatest, largely untapped knowledge pool resides with the young population. Even if a small chunk of the young coding population was exposed to the open source philosophy, we'd see a huge uprise in the number of open libraries. But we all know quality is greater than quantity. This brings about the discussion, what makes good open source? So, when it comes to code that is open to all, the expandability, maintainability, and navigability of the project is crucial. Code conformance, documentation, flawless packaging, good issues, unit tests are fundamental for the propagation of code supporting open science. I also highly advise the inclusion of things like code of conduct, license, contributing, and workflows. 7 months in the development of Pygate papers and 150 commits later, I can proudly say that Pygate papers supports and promotes a large majority of these practices. Finally, I'd like to end by quoting Aaron Schwartz. A piece of knowledge, unlike a piece of physical property, can be shared by large groups of people without making anyone poorer. I'd now like to pass on to Shweata, who will talk about her messages and learnings through her experience as an intern at CEVOpen.
Thanks so much, Ayush. I'm Shweata Hegde, and I'm currently the project manager and an intern at CEVOpen. Today, I'm here to share my experiences as an intern at CEVOpen, give you some of my messages, and reflect on my learnings. To give you a little context about myself, I'm a life science undergraduate student studying at RIE Mysore, and I joined OpenVirus about a year ago now with no coding or managing experience. To start out, in the first 3 months, I initially focused very little on the technical aspects of the project and worked and focused more on the communication and the outreach. Cut to the present, I am now involved in uh, coding and technical aspects of the project. I employ natural language processing and machine learning to extract ethics committees and many such entities from the scientific literature. But the point here is not to talk about the project, but to discuss about the transition. How did I go from someone who had never written a single line of code to who I am now, where I do a fair bit of coding? Did the transition happen overnight? Was it smooth? Well, not really. Now, let me tell you the story in between the struggle. When I started out, I had no clue about many of these technical things like command line. I did not know how Git worked or what a command line tool was, and so on. Uh, so there were several instances where I thought I should give up, but I really wanted to make a difference in science. So thanks to the wonderful support from the team, both my mentors and co-interns, I started picking up these skills as I went on, and I kept persisting month after month, and therefore now I am able to contribute to the project significantly. So my journey is also documented in the open. So I do go back sometimes to see how far I've come. Of course, there's a long way to go. Um, so the open science community has not only helped me learn these technical skills, but it has also taught me how to repurpose the existing material, share your work, communicate better, and most importantly, experiment and document all of it in the open so that any beginner can be reassured by the struggles that you faced and the things that you didn't understand. So my message here is for everybody who's listening in is that contribute to open science projects in any capacity that you can, or even promote the open science work that's going around you. And you don't have to be an expert to start out, especially with open science. And there is no age restriction. You don't have to have any qualifications to start out, and there is no gatekeeping. If you're willing to learn, um, and if you persist, you will be able to learn and contribute as you go. Okay, so why am I pushing people to contribute to open science projects? Well, because we are amidst a global challenge, that is the pandemic, and there are many brutal global challenges like climate change and misinformation. And to tackle these challenges, one has to understand the scientific literature and needs to have skills to make sense of the enormous amount of data that's being constantly generated. And the best way to learn such skills is to contribute to open science projects. And I really believe that together we can make a difference and find solutions to global challenges by working in the open. So this is the team which is scattered across the country, and we are a diverse set of people with a shared value of doing open science. Of course, there's a long way to go for all of us, including me, but I'm extremely grateful for the open virus and CEVOpen community, and I'm very thankful for the mentors, Dr. Gitanjali Yadav and Dr. Peter Mara Rust, and all of my co-interns. Thank you.